ABC Thursdays.
Welcome back.
Grey's Anatomy is all new.
Why didn't you tell me you were pregnant?
The drama going down
Bungee jumping from the bridge as cord snapped.
We need all hands on deck.
is unbelievable.
You think you're God's gift to this hospital?
You're just another doctor.
My relationship with Catherine is complicated.
I'm gonna sue you.
Your lawyers know where to find me.
You're unbelievable.
Grey's Anatomy. All new Thursdays, 10/9 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and today we are going to preview the San Francisco 49ers week number 4 matchup against the New England Patriots. And in fact, we're going to dive into why this game in particular may have the biggest implications on the San Francisco 49ers playoff hopes. I know for Niner fans, it hasn't been the best start to the 2024 season. San Francisco's 1-2. They've lost 2 games in a row, both those coming on the road, but they're back home this Sunday against the Patriots. And the Patriots, let's just put it bluntly, aren't the greatest team in the world. They are one of the worst rosters in football from top to bottom. A brand new head coach, no more Bill Belichick. Gerard Mayo's now taken over, and while they have had some more fight to them, some more zest to them, if you will, the Patriots are still the New England Patriots. Tom Brady is obviously long gone. They are not the same team we've known for the better half of almost 2 decades now. But San Francisco, focusing on them, they're 1-2. They're coming off the worst loss in the Kyle Shanahan era and are in desperate need of a win, a get-right game, a bounce-back victory, if you will. And just like last week, while it was inexcusable to lose that game, it's not like your season is damned. This week, though, you simply have to win this game. I want to quickly shout out Raphael5629ers saying what's up to myself. And everybody also says like and subscribe. And of course, Fluffy Ninja, been a long time since we've been live. What's going on, man? Hope you're doing well. But back to the game this Sunday against the Patriots. Again, you have to win this one. You simply cannot lose this game. And to give you some perspective as to why this is a must-win for San Francisco, if San Francisco, sitting right now, they're 1-2, right now, their playoff odds are a 32% chance. So still, you can go with that. You have a near 33% chance to make the playoffs. Your odds aren't terrible. They're just not great at the moment. If San Francisco wins this game on Sunday, their odds jump from 32 all the way to 42%, a near 50% odd of winning or going to the playoffs. That's if they win this Sunday and are 2-2 after week 4. But if San Francisco loses this game on Sunday against the Patriots and they drop to 1-3 on the season, their odds would then go from 32% of making the playoffs and plummet all the way to having a 14% chance of making the playoffs. Now, 14% is not zero by any means, but I don't think anyone wants to have an 86% chance to not make the playoffs. For San Francisco, this is, in 4 weeks' time, the biggest game of the season for them. They have to win this game. They cannot lose. If they do lose, their playoff hopes may hinge by the outcome of this game on Sunday against the Patriots. So, how do they beat the Patriots this Sunday? I know in previous podcasts and previous weeks we talked about, well, they should be able to handle the Rams secondary. And while the offense did their job, the defense and special teams just fell apart late in that game against the Vikings. The defense does their job for the most part, albeit struggles on third downs. The offense doesn't pick up the slack. Deebo Samuel gets injured, but it does feel like there are good things happening at the moment for San Francisco. Deebo Samuel's back on the practice field, which is a big surprise. George Kittle is back on the practice field, so things are swaying, if you will, San Francisco's direction, but I think the one thing we've learned from the past 2 weeks is that just because they should have won this game on paper, or the paper may say their roster is better, that doesn't matter. The outcomes the past 2 weeks would have told you that San Francisco should have won the last 2 games. It's not the case. San Francisco got punched in the mouth against the Vikings, and they got surprised and shocked by the Rams. In the purest, simplest form, this game comes down to what happens on the gridiron in between the lines. And I think San Francisco should be the better team this Sunday. You know, when you listen to how Nick Bosa has talked about the Rams loss, that loss seems to have bothered them more than the loss to Minnesota. I think that, you know, coming from the perspective of the Vikings are a more, I guess, well-coached team all around. O'Connell and Flores are a much better duo than Shula and McVay. McVay's great in his own right, but Shula is a first-time defensive coordinator. You can swallow losing to the Vikings more than the Rams without all their stars and a first-year defensive coordinator. So, but you listen to how Nick Bosa talks about the loss against the Rams, and you can tell that there is this kind of, you know, I can't wait to get back on the field to undo the wrong that was that loss at SoFi last Sunday. But I do think that there needs to be a mentality shift. San Francisco, after the win against the Jets, you can tell there was this, you know, we mean business mentality, and that kind of wasn't present during the weeks against the Vikings and against the Rams especially. The Vikings, I think, did give San Francisco more fits with the way Brian Flores calls defense, but the Rams game, you can just tell that once halftime clicked, once momentum shifted in that game, San Francisco was struggling to regain it, and they really didn't, despite, again, leading until the last 2 minutes of that game. But there needs to be a form of desperation with how the San Francisco 49ers play. I think, you know, while we could talk about percentages and winning and losing, what that means for your playoff hopes, you know, you don't want to fall to 1-3. And you can say, well, in previous years, they've dug themselves out of massive holes, 3-5 and 4-4. It's not where this team should be, but it's where they were. And they made the playoffs both years, and both those years went to the NFC title game. This is a different team. This is a defense that is reeling. They're struggling. It's an offense that still hasn't really found its form just yet. And while those things can certainly happen once San Francisco, fingers crossed, hopefully gets fully healthy, once Deebo and Kittle and Christian McCaffrey eventually returns and they get some guys back like John Feliciano and Clea Davis, you can see an improved Niners team in the future, but you have to live in the now. You have to play like your season is on the line, because it may be on the line if you lose this Sunday. You have to play like, man, if we don't win, we may not be talking about Super Bowl or bust or playoff or bust. This could be, oh my goodness, can you become 500 again? And it really, really becomes this kind of moment of like, we have to play like our backs against the wall, because it kind of is. I don't think if you predicted anything this year, if you looked at all the schedules, the health of rosters, nobody would have said San Francisco would be 1-2 to begin the season. I think 2-1 makes sense. I think a lot of people, including myself, would have loved the idea, would have leaned towards the idea that 3-0, it's definitely a possibility for this team. And you know, they've got smacked in the face and they kind of got stunned. And it's okay, you know, how do you respond to that? Your response against the Rams was 14-0 in the first 2 drives. Your defense is playing pretty well. Your offense looks flawless. and then all of a sudden that cratered. How do you maintain that momentum? How do you, when you don't have drives that go your way, when you don't get takeaways, when your defense plays poorly, how does your offense sustain their success? How does your defense get the ball back for the offense at times when they're struggling? There hasn't seemed to be that cohesive play just yet, where in previous years when this team is on all cylinders, the defense is getting takeaways and they're stopping the opposition on third down, and this offense is scoring 28 points a game, sometimes 30 at times. That hasn't happened just yet. And I think, for a lot of people, and I think in this game in particular, if we start on the defensive side of the football, which, many of you in the comments, Fluffy Ninja, I believe here asks, if I can find it for a second, is the defensive coach, that being Nick Sorenson, in hot water yet? I don't think Nick Sorenson's job is on the line thus far, but I do think that if the struggles continue, there will definitely be a conversation. And I believe I said this during the offseason that I would not be shocked if Nick Sorenson struggles, he is demoted, and then Brandon Staley becomes the defensive coordinator. I think Staley was brought in to kind of help aid Nick Sorenson along his journey in his first year as a defensive play caller. But I also think that last part you have to keep in the back of your mind of he's only called 3 NFL games. It's going to take time for a first-year play caller to figure himself out, what works, what doesn't work. And Bobo says here, and it's actually a pretty good point, Brian Schneider, who is the special teams coordinator for San Francisco, he should be on the hot seat. I agree. I think that while not diving too much into the blunders they've had so far, you are kind of waiting with bated breath every time there's a punt on both ends, whether they're offense or defense. I think, you fire Steve Wilkes last year or after last season, which, okay, fine. There's obviously some schematic differences. There's obviously an identity that the defense had kind of gotten away from, that Kyle Shanahan wanted to revert back to, which, cool. That I'm totally fine with that, getting back to who you want to be as a team, defense and offense, and be who, you want to be in regards to the schematics and the play calling and how you utilize your star players and whatnot. But you fire Steve Wilkes, who, despite maybe not calling the greatest games at time, making some just boneheaded decisions, your defense was also, you were in the Super Bowl for a reason, right? And that isn't to pump up Steve Wilkes, but Brian Schneider is still here, and he has made a lot more mistakes for a lot longer time. And it does feel like San Francisco, the frustration definitely came out after the Rams game of, the way the way the special teams unit has played thus far has certainly been just like, why has there not been a coaching change yet? And that's been a question we've had for a couple of seasons, albeit the offense and the defensive play has kind of overshadowed the poor play of special teams. And yes, Laurie Wilkes did have the secondary playing pretty well. He was a defensive backs coach. That makes sense. I think the issue was the front seven. That was kind of the issue for Kyle Shanahan and I'm sure Nick Bosa and company. But from what kind of been heard, it feels like that now the issues are, while the front seven isn't really doing their job, the secondary has become the concern of Yadam's not covering very well, and the safeties are getting beat downfield, and Mooney Ward's not covering the number one receiver on the Vikings. Why? And there's a lot of run defense issues, but I think just sticking to defense for just the next few minutes here, when you look across the aisle, the New England Patriots are not going to give you the offensive output that the Vikings have had so far this year. They're not going to be Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay calling plays and offering up these, deep balls and different arm slots and the explosiveness that even without their stars, Matthew Stafford still possesses as a quarterback. I like Jacoby Brissett. I think he's a fine better in mind. He gets the offense. He can get the job done. Underrated as a backup quarterback. I think most teams, if they had to choose a backup quarterback, would choose Brissett. I think he's good enough to win you some games. Heck, the Patriots already beat the Bengals this year, which I get at this point may mean nothing, knowing how bad the Bengals defense has played, but still, you beat Joe Burrow, that does mean something, at least to me. But That doesn't mean the Patriots are a good team or a great team. They're actually a pretty bad team to watch, mainly on offense. I think that, the Belichickian things on defense are still there despite his departure in the offseason, but the offense, first-time play caller, Alex Singleton, I believe is his name. I think that's right. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else for a second, but it is a first-time play caller, so I got that part right for sure. But they are a one-trick pony. They are, like, their bread and butter is pounding the rock with Rhamondre Stevenson and riding Antonio Gibson at times until the wheels fall off. It is a ground and pound. We don't want to pass the ball more than 14 times a game, 15 times a game. Let's let Stevenson and Gibson carry the rock, lead the way, and almost not even put the ball in Brissett's hands. Like, this Patriots team has run the football on average 30 times a week to begin the year. That is tied for 10th in football. And when they execute the run at a high level, which Stevenson is a good running back. I think he's underrated. He's someone that can be an RB1, although a lower caliber RB1. Definitely a bell cow back, kind of a throwback runner. Very physical. Doesn't get tired very often. He'll be out there for, again, 25-plus carries a game, and he'll ground and pound. He'll just grind your defense away. Then he'll break a big run because he does have pull-away speed despite his size. But they want to run the football. They want to slow the game down, control the clock, and play this methodical, slow-paced, essentially the opposite of San Francisco, who, yes, loves to run the football, but possesses the stars and the quarterback and the play caller to have explosive plays. I think, with the way San Francisco has played so far this year, the run has been an issue. Laurie Stevenson asks here, can we stop the run? It's a big issue. Can you stop the run, I think, is one of the biggest questions we've had. Fluffy Ninja says here, we need to stop the run. Yes, all those things are true, and I think, like I've kind of already stated, San Francisco has their backs against the wall, and now you add in the factor of Javon Hargrave's not going to be there. He's done for the year. You've lost your best pass rushing interior defensive lineman. You're now extremely thin on the defensive line, which, my goodness, I have been hammering that point home for months, that this may be the most top-heavy, lacking of depth defensive line San Francisco has had since 2017 when Kyle Shanahan first got here. It is Bosa, it is Yetur Gross-Matos and Leonard Floyd and Malik Collins, and now it's Evan Anderson and Shaquille Brown and Jordan Elliott, who's also hurt now. It's they're really Kevin Givens. There isn't much there. Now, those guys can be productive, but I think, San Francisco so far this year ranks 21st against the run. You cannot bring that run defense in a game against the Patriots. And we watched people like Tyson Chandler and Kyron Williams have their way with San Francisco's run defense, especially later in the games when San Francisco's defense is tired and they're exhausted and the opposing offense has had these long, methodical drives and the offense isn't scoring points and they have to go back on the field in short spurts or after short rests. San Francisco's defense, despite the stars they have, is definitely open and able to get beat via the running game. And I think, it hurts more than anything now that you lost Hargrave. That sucks. You hope he gets healthy. Fingers crossed he can come back if this team is playing late in the playoffs. But Jordan Elliott, who is brought in to be the run defending defensive tackle to aid this run defense, he got hurt today too. So while he was still limited in practice, and I would assume he will play this Sunday, not good. Not a great sign to stopping the run. I have in my notes here that a player like Jordan Elliott was going to be key in stopping Rhamondre Stevenson. I think he still will be, but Niner fans aren't going to want to hear this next point I have to say, but I do think it's true. And it does hinge on who starts at linebacker 2 in this game. My mind and my hope and my heart is saying, play D. Winters. He is healthy again. He practiced today. The ankle doesn't seem to be too serious, but the way Devondre Campbell and Demetrius Flannigan-Falls have been in coverage has just been flat out terrible. Campbell has been one of the worst coverage linebackers in football, but They aren't playing the Rams this week. They're not playing the Vikings this week. They're not playing teams that have speedy and fast running backs where Campbell can't keep up with them. They're not going to have receivers that are on end arounds and screens that much, at least, where Campbell will be a liability. I think this game, more than anyone they have played so far, actually fits the forte of a Devondre Campbell style of defense. He's an older, previously injured linebacker that isn't as fast as he once was, but as a run defender, which has not been what San Francisco usually wants from their linebackers. They want, Trey Greenlaw, Fred Warner flying around great in pass coverage and thumpers that, yes, can also stop the run, but can also do the pass coverage things correctly. Campbell's kind of a one-trick pony himself, like the Patriots offense. He can certainly stop the run. He can make the correct tackles. It's just, okay, how do we put you in a position where you aren't on the field on passing downs? I think that San Francisco should, like they tried to late in the game against the Rams, go to a D. Winters that is faster, more explosive, but on rundowns, keep Devondre Campbell in the game to hopefully stop Rhamondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson. I think this is a great game, despite the injuries San Francisco has, to focus on the run, getting the run game correct. I think that
when it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
When you are bad against the run for 2 weeks in a row and you're not great against it against the Jets, you open yourself up to scrutiny of this has to get better. And I think, for a team with their backs against the wall in the defense, facing all these questions of injuries to Greenlaw and now Hargrave and secondary coverage issues, not that you don't have to worry about those things. It's more so that this game is going to be played in the trenches and on the ground primarily by the Patriots. And I think that is a good opportunity to almost narrow in your focus on stopping the run. The Patriots offense is not going to push the ball downfield at all. I think rarely will they get outside the numbers. I think Brissett may have one go ball attempt this year, and it was incomplete into double coverage. This team is not going to get vertical on you. They're not going to pull out the stops, and it's not going to be this McVay Stafford they're cooking, they're taking over the game. Watch out, Stafford's hot. How are you going to cool him down? It's they're going to let Rhamondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson control this game and at times give Brissett the ball to pass to keep the defense honest. They'll utilize play action, but for the most part, it'll be a game very much played inside the numbers in the middle of the field. And, it's going to be a game where it is run. And then you're like, oh, here's a pass. The game's over and Brissett has, 15 attempts. And you're like, yeah, that makes sense. They held the ball for 35 minutes. This is a game where the Patriots want this final score to be 14-10. They want it to be 17-14. They don't want 35-10. They don't want 28-14. They want a low-scoring, grinded out, ground and pound, smash mouth style of game. And I think that, although the Patriots want that, might also give San Francisco an opportunity to fix the issues they've had. You got a bad run defense? Well, here's a great opportunity to right that on a team that wants to run the football 30-plus times against you. So I think it's a really good opportunity for San Francisco's defense to fix their issues. Lori Matthews asks here, does Hufanga, can he be a factor this year after coming back? I do think Hufanga, he wasn't terrible against the Rams. I think really this game, I would not be shocked to see San Francisco play some 3 safety sets, put a guy in the box. I really do believe that with the linebackers not named Fred Warner struggling so much, it might be a good opportunity to try some new things. Put, Hufanga in the box, not have to worry about him getting beat up top. Now, that does open up doors of getting beat over the top with Mustafa and Jair Brown back there. God forbid it's George Odom again back there, but I do think that, with the Patriots running the football so much, this could be a game where Nick Sorenson pulls out 3 safety sets and lets Jair Brown and Hufanga do their job and do their thing, which they're great at playing inside the box. If linebacker 2 and 3 are going to suck in coverage, put a safety out there. Put an extra safety out there and see what happens. I think it's a good opportunity for Hufanga. Second game back off the injury. Mustafa's a young player. Brown is a really phenomenal player at the line of scrimmage. We could see, go back to that Saints preseason game with Jair Brown, where he was in the backfield a handful of times. He blitzed a handful of times. I could see them relying on the instincts of their safeties in 3 safety sets to kind of offset the struggling linebackers they've had. Niner Trump says here on the YouTube chat, just get to 2-2, but please don't look like the Cowboys in doing it. First off, hope Micah Parsons is okay. I didn't watch the game tonight. I was too busy watching TV with the wifey, but Cowboys won, and it was not very pretty from my understanding of it. But Micah Parsons got hurt. Hope he can get healthy. Niners Trump also says that they hope this game is over by halftime. It was looking like the Rams game was going to be over by halftime. If San Francisco's offense can get a quick lead, this is a game where I doubt the Patriots can be explosive and fight their way back. I don't want to say, it's 14-0, it's over against the Patriots, because that's not true. We saw last week that wasn't true, but the way the Rams were able to score in succession over and over and over again, and as quickly as they did, it's not going to be the case with the Patriots. So, yes, I'm praying for 21-0 at halftime. Thank God San Francisco's back. But the Patriots are a team that's well-rested. I think that, early in the year, we don't really take rest into account as much as we should. They played last Thursday. They have the rest. San Francisco is kind of more injured now than they were, 10 days ago, whatever it was now. So, This is a game where, the Patriots are banged up as well, but, you gotta push past that crap, to be honest with you. But just be focused, man. The one thing I've kind of noticed with this Niners team so far is that, when they get down, not that there's no fight in them. It's just some things just go out the window. Consistency. Against the Vikings, Purdy's trying to do too much. The Vikings defense is swarming in them, which kudos to Minnesota. But against the Rams, it was the offense has no answer. The defense can't stop anybody. And when the offense does finally answer, guys don't execute. So I'm hoping just better execution in the first half. Beat the Patriots so bad that you turn the game off at halftime and you're like, that one's over. What else is on red zone? Because my goodness, it's 28-0 at halftime or 28-3. I think Niner fans would love just a phenomenal, perfect game from Purdy and the defense. And you're finally, they're playing lights out. And hopefully next week they can get a fully healthy Deebo Samuel back. But back to the defense for a second. Hammering the point home of, the Patriots offense is not going to beat you downfield. It's not going to be able to come back down 14-0 at halftime, if you will. So far this year, the Patriots on short passes, they're not great down the field, but on short passes as well, which just goes back to the offense being pretty bad and is struggling as a whole. It is, again, a running offense through and through with them wanting to rely on Brissett. By no means. On short passes, they have the second worst completion percentage in football. On short passes, the worst yak in football. This offense is not explosive. There's no playmakers. They just really do not do anything exceptional on the offense outside of running the football. Watch out for Hunter Henry screens in this game. I think the way that we have seen other teams beat the Niners has been targeting linebacker number 2s, Devondre Campbell, Demetrius Flanagan-Falls, which hopefully we see a mixture of Winters in there, and terrible news about Curtis Robinson too. Hope he can get healthy and stuff. But I would not be shocked to see the Patriots of all of their weapons they have, which are all mediocre and worse, Hunter Henry is the best one by far, not named Rhamondre Stevenson. So watch for a lot of tight end screens in this game. Quick, easy passes. Again, take all the pressure off Rhamondre Stevenson and Brissett on the pass and just let Hunter Henry eat. Get the ball out quickly, get you 3 or 4 or 5 yards, extend drives, and just almost allow the quick game to keep San Francisco on their toes and keep their defense on the field for longer and longer and longer. But, I think for defense in the Niners searching for themselves and trying to reestablish their identity, with their first-time coordinator Nick Sorenson, this is a game where the opposing offense doesn't have a star quarterback, doesn't have an elite receiver like the Vikings, nor do they have a great play caller. It is a perfect opportunity not just to get the win. That's the most important thing, but it's not just about getting the win. You can also, get back to what made them great in previous years, and that includes the pass rush. I think that, one issue we've seen mainly against the Rams was nobody's getting home. I get they had 3 sacks, but the Rams came into that game with the 32nd ranked pass protecting offensive line. The worst offensive line in football in protecting the quarterback. They had lost a game by 30-plus points against the Cardinals, who put up 40 against them. Stafford got sacked a handful of times. But San Francisco only had 17 pressures and 3 sacks. That's not going to cut it against Stafford. Now, if it was 17 pressures and 5 sacks, 17 pressures and 6 sacks, you have to be able to finish off the play. That plagued San Francisco last season. Leonard Floyd has been a no-show for 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure he has 1 pressure in 2 weeks, and if I'm correct, and going back and watching the Rams game, that 1 pressure came in the first drive of that game. So after that 1 drive, he was invisible the rest of that game. He was like Sue Storm out there, like, we can't find him. Well, where'd he go? He's out there getting screened out of plays and schemed out of plays by his own defense, unfortunately. But weirdly enough, the Niners have played at the time of playing the Vikings and the Rams, now New England, one of the worst pass-protecting offensive lines in football. The Vikings were in the 20s. The Rams were the worst in football. Now this week against the Patriots, although the proof has not been in the pudding for San Francisco's edge rushers and defensive line to get to the quarterback, the Patriots have allowed the worst pressure rate in football. They have allowed a sack on 12% of their dropbacks. That leads the entire NFL. When we talk about a game where San Francisco can, yes, stop the run, refocus, at least scheme to stop the run, make that a point of, like, this is the only way we lose this game if the Patriots can run the football. And if you can't stop it, that's bigger issues at hand. But this is also a game where you're not going to have the 35 dropbacks of a Matthew Stafford or a Sam Darnold. You're going to have, again, 15, 20 of a Brissett. You have to make them count. And thankfully, the Patriots' offensive line, which is banged up, but they've not been able to protect their quarterback. I want to see Nick Bosa take over a game. I want to see players like Yetur Gross-Matos and Malik Collins, who are vets in the league. Collins almost been here for 10-plus years with the Texans and other teams. And Gross-Matos break out finally after a couple years in Carolina. But Nick Bosa, your defense needs you, Nick Bosa. You don't have your number 2 defensive tackle, your number 2 star defensive lineman in Javon Hargrave. Your defense is reeling. And I know Fred Warner's kind of like the quarterback of the defense of, okay, when things are going awry, that's the guy you look to make a play. That can be true, but there's almost 2 quarterbacks on this defense. You are looking for Nick Bosa to quarterback this defense and finally get in their rec shop. Give us 3 sacks. Give us a 8 pressure, 2 sack game where you clinch the game, you get a forced fumble. You do something to actually wreak havoc on the opposing offense, which has almost happened this year, but really hasn't happened just yet. And I'm hoping this Sunday can be the game for Nick Bosa where we all point to and say, that was a Nick Bosa clutch time, take over performance, which this defense kind of needs. This team is looking for an answer, looking for a resolution. They suck on third downs. You want to get your third down defense right, you get a pass rush going. It forces quarterbacks into, bad throws, errant throws, they make mistakes. And I always go back to that this defensive line was so good in 2019. It was so good in 2021. And they had so much depth on the defensive line that their depth was 2 or 3 guys deep that can get home at the quarterback. And Chris Kocurek was, phenomenal as a coach and still is, but DeMeco Ryans is calling up the right plays at the right time to get home. And now you don't have the pass rush to make those secondary players better. Fred Warner's blitzing on third downs. They're having 7 guys at the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 8. Those things don't make sense. They're coaching issues for sure, but I think if San Francisco wants to see improved third down rates, if they want to see, better play from their secondary, like Mooney Ward, like Isaac Yiadom, safeties as well, get home at the quarterback. The Pittsburgh Steelers do not have a good secondary. Why is that defense so good? Why does that defense keep them in games? They have 3 or 4 guys that can consistently get to the quarterback. Watt, Highsmith, I think it's Gerbert. They have all these guys that can get home. San Francisco right now hasn't even had that one guy to get home. So Nick Bosa, answer the call, brother. And I hope that this Sunday is the game for a Nick Bosa breakout. But to the offense. The offense has not really gotten much of the questioning. Yes, there's been some clock management stuff. Ronnie Bell has kind of gotten a lot of hazing for his drops against the Rams, but as a unit as a whole, the real questions have kind of been on the offensive line and coaching decisions, not on Brock Purdy, not on some of the stars, minus Brandon Ayuk. Juwan Jennings was phenomenal against the Rams last week. It looks like San Francisco is getting George Kittle back, but going back to San Francisco's offense against the Patriots defense, I don't know if you watched the Patriots and Jets game last Thursday. The Jets, who their offense, yes, has Rodgers and Breece Hall and has Garrett Wilson, isn't really a dominant offense. The offensive line is okay. It's similar to San Francisco's, albeit at times is better. But San Francisco's unit has been together longer. I think, the way Kyle Shanahan calls plays is not the same way, Hackett calls plays in New York. This is an offense that wants to get inside of you. They want to get in there and they want to wreak havoc and, essentially, run that ball down your throat and, beat you with physicality and stuff. Well, the Jets aren't like that. But the Patriots defense was kind of getting pushed around against the Jets offensive line and the offense as a whole. They were playing rather undisciplined football, misreading plays, penalties, missing a lot of tackles against the Jets. They'll be better this week because they're going to have guys back like Jabril Peppers. But they're not going to have Christian Barmore, who I think is their best defensive player by a mile, maybe outside of Christian Gonzalez, who was good before he got hurt last year and is still good this year, but he's coming off an injury. Barmore has been really good the last 2 years for the Patriots. I do think San Francisco should be able to move the football. I wouldn't say at will, but at a pretty high rate against the Patriots defense. Yes, the Patriots do have a top 10 run defense, but go back to that Jets game. Allowed over 130 rushing yards to the Jets, who, no offense to those guys, the running backs had 50 yards a pop. It wasn't one guy taking over the game. It was 3 or 4 guys having 30 yards and 55 yards and 60 yards here. It wasn't as if one guy had a breakout. It was a collective team effort of 130 plus rushing yards. I think New England, again, going back to the rest advantage, they're healthier in regards to having the 3 extra days to rest. But I think, San Francisco wanting to enforce their will on opponents. I think after the Rams game, This team is angry. This team is mad. They know they should have had that game. They should be 2-1 right now. I want them to play like they should be 2-1. Play like we got robbed, albeit it's their own fault, but play like we got screwed, and we're going to make the world pay for that. Now, that should happen anyways, because San Francisco should be the better team, but statistically, Jordan Mason's averaging over 5 yards a carry. And even if he averages 4 yards a pop against the Patriots, again, top 10 run defense, okay, that means easier third downs, no second and longs, no third and longs. That means if you run the ball back-to-back times, you get 12 yards. It's a first down. San Francisco's offense should be able to put themselves in positions to have long, grueling, sustainable drives where if the Patriots want to play that way, okay, then we're going to out-Patriots the Patriots. San Francisco and Kyle Shanahan have no problem running the football 40-plus times. This is a game that the Patriots want this long, grueling, drawn-out 13-10 score. Shanahan will say, by all means, brother, bring it on, Gerard Mayo. We will show you and put on a clinic against your team. But that isn't to say I don't think the San Francisco 49ers passing game won't be able to succeed. I do think the Patriots have an underrated secondary. They have Jones, they have Gonzalez, they're getting Peppers back. They also have Owens, I believe. Like, they have some players you point to and are like, that guy is really underrated. Like, the league does not know yet of this player's skill. But I think that, again, just as a unit, as stats, the Patriots this year are allowing the 6th most passing yards per game. And I think at a time where the Niners are kind of treading water. They're doggy paddling their way to hopefully stay afloat, and maybe if they win this game, can have a 42% odds to go to the playoffs, not 13% if they lose. This is a game for Purdy to be able to put the Niners on his back. Now, he tried his darndest against the Los Angeles Rams, and the pieces around him did not pick up their part, didn't do their part. The meme of like, well, I'm doing my part. A lot of guys were not doing their part in that game against the Rams last Sunday, but I do think that...
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
If you're a Niner fan, you're almost begging the Patriots to blitz Brock Purdy simply because they don't have the pieces behind the blitzers to be successful in stopping the quarterback. And not to harp on the Seattle Seahawks, but when the Patriots played the Seahawks, Geno Smith had his way with them. He was 10-12, 171 yards, 1 touchdown, a sack, and a 5-yard scramble versus the blitz. He had 1 incompletion for a drop. It's a phenomenal game from Geno Smith. I hate to break it to Seahawks fans. Doesn't matter how good Geno's playing at the moment. It just, Brock Purdy's better quarterback. and I think he showed that against the Rams last week and even throughout his entire career thus far. But you're almost begging the Patriots to blitz Brock Purdy, because if he has what seems like George Kittle back, and he has Juwan Jennings playing his career best right now, then you get Brandon Ayuk back on track. Then if the practice today was any indication, because usually when you practice on Thursday means you're going to play on Sunday, Deebo Samuel's back. So, San Francisco is going to have all their weapons minus Christian McCaffrey at their disposal. This is a great game for Brock Purdy, to where if the Patriots do want to blitz 12 times, bring it on. We have our check down guy in Deebo Samuel, the jet sweeps, the end arounds. We have our guy to eat over the middle of the field in George Kittle. We have a deep crosser guy in Brandon Ayuk, which I know Ayuk has been not great. But we have Juwan Jennings playing phenomenal. Like San Francisco, if they have the receiver 1, 2, 3, and their tight end number 1 back, is an entirely different offense. And now Brock Purdy, who had an incredible game against the Rams, is carrying that over. Like the confidence to drop back 35, 40 times with Brock Purdy should be at an all-time high right now. And I'm not saying do that, but in a game where, let's say by chance, the Patriots run defense, which is top 10, stops Jordan Mason, stops Garendo, stops the wide back Deebo Samuel. If he plays in this one, okay, Purdy, they're giving up the sixth most passing yards per game this year. Go out there and cook. This is a game where the passing offense was really good against the Rams last week. They're banged up, I get that, but the Patriots are a equally bad secondary group in regards to, as a unit on defense, giving up, again, the sixth most passing yards. I think in this one, this is a game also where Brock Purdy is going to see a defensive scheme he hasn't seen before. The Patriots like to run a 3-3-5 sometimes, so it'll be kind of a new experience for Brock Purdy in this one. But again, if they want to blitz and bring guys home, by all means go ahead. And if they want to drop guys into coverage and play their 3-3-5 and get out of their 5-1 base at times, cool, run the football. Shanahan should be able to lead the San Francisco 49ers to victory simply based on play calling. This is a game where I don't want to get too cocky. San Francisco's 1-2. This is a game where, go back to 2018, where Nick Mullins is playing quarterback. San Francisco probably wins this game by 14 points. Like, I don't want to go that crazy, but like this is a game where San Francisco, no matter who's playing quarterback, and really the personnel they have shouldn't matter that much, because Shanahan's offensive mind and his genius, if you will, which at times should be questioned, I think should be able to lead San Francisco to victory. But I digress. You still have to execute the game plan, which should be A1 steak sauce, if you will, in this one. But I do think that one of the bigger aspects of this game is going to be Brandon Ayuk lined up across Christian Gonzalez. This to me is a matchup that if both these guys, let's say Gonzalez was last year's Gonzalez, rookie, extremely healthy, no injuries, and Ayuk was last year's Ayuk, we're just like, this is a matchup you have to watch every snap on. And I think that's still true, although Ayuk is not playing his best football. I think with Deebo Samuel being out, with Deebo Samuel potentially being back, it simultaneously helps and hurts Brandon Ayuk. I think it helps because Ayuk said that in the press conference that the defenses kind of know what they want to do, which, yikes. Like, what the, really? I think Deebo coming back, if he does indeed play, allows the Niners offense to not be as straightforward as it was maybe against the Rams or against the Vikings. Once Deebo got hurt, the offense kind of was like, we don't know what to do with ourselves. I think getting Kittle back will also help Ayuk. And again, it pushes him down the pecking order of now, instead of being option 1 or 2, you're now option 3. And you can even argue with Juwan Jennings playing so well, Ayuk is option 4 without Christian McCaffrey being healthy, which is a big $30 million eyesore of like, what the heck's going on? But this is a game where I do think Ayuk, he's taking incremental steps to getting better. This is a game for him where it's like, you can catch the ball 4 or 5 times, just don't drop it once. That's what I want to see. Just don't drop the ball once. You had 2 drops against the Rams, although 1 didn't actually count, and you had 1 against the Jets in the back of the end zone. Tough play, I get it, but you got to catch the ball consistently. I'm very eager to see Ayuk hopefully crisp up those routes, have better breaks in and out of his routes, and I almost want to see him take on the challenge of Christian Gonzalez head on. But I think, again, getting Deebo back and Kittle back are much bigger, impactful returns, even if Ayuk was out there as your number 2 option. The offense just runs through those 2 players, Kittle and Deebo, just so much better. The engine's almost healthy. It's almost at full capacity, if you will. And I think it makes them so much more dangerous to allow players like Ayuk to not feel the pressure of, I have to get this done. And at the moment, it doesn't feel like he's ready to answer that call just yet. But I think getting Deebo back opens the underneath stuff for Purdy, which the last couple games he hasn't really wanted to check things down. Okay, you have Deebo back now. That certainly opens up a whole other option for your offense where Purdy will likely feel more comfortable throwing things underneath, where against the Rams it was just the spray chart was just 10, 15 yards downfield consistently against the Rams. This game, I think, he'll feel more comfortable giving a 5-yard kind of check down to Kittle or Deebo. But one of the questions we have in the comments here by Niners Throwback is, do you think Spencer Burford will take over for Colton McKivitz? I don't think he will. And the news you're referencing is Spencer Burford taking snaps at tackle. I think it's more of a sign that San Francisco isn't really pleased with the backup tackle room. Dominic Puni's played extremely well, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, John Feliciano's almost back. You don't really want to carry 3 or 4 guards. You have Banks, you have Zakel, you have Puni, and then you have Burford. McKivitz has not played well. I think it does open that door. But also I think San Francisco simply just wants versatility. I don't think, to answer your question, I don't think that change, if it does come, is going to happen anytime soon. I think it's a change where San Francisco would do it after the bye week. Now, to Burford's credit, he has said that he is much more comfortable at tackle. So maybe it's a case of, McKivitz continues to struggle, which I have the stats in front of me. It's been pretty bad. This year so far, Colton McKivitz has the 81.6% pass protection rate. That ranks 53rd amongst tackles. 53rd. Yikes. That's really bad. That's terrible. Why didn't they draft the tackle? Everyone that said that deserves, you're right. Puni's great. He's a guard. We get that. But holy crap, why do they continue to just neglect the right side of the offensive line, mainly tackle? Just, bad. And you know that despite the Patriots offense being pretty piss poor, or their defense, being pretty bad, Keon White for them has 4 sacks this year. That's pretty good. 4 sacks through 3 games is pretty good. So my hope and my prayer is that George Kittle is not relegated to the inline blocking tight end behind Colton McKivitz because we just can't stop Keon White. Do your job, man. I get it's hard. The NFL isn't easy. It's not always a player's fault. Sometimes there's a stunt. Sometimes, certain things happen where you're like, well, I blocked my guy, you missed your guy, and I'm trying to fix everything. I totally get that. But he's just been bad. Really bad. And he was better last year for sure, but you can just tell that there is a clear, the defense has clear-cut weaknesses. Linebacker 2 has been terrible. Yadam has been terrible as cornerback 2. Please give me Bernardo Green. Give me D. Winters. Give me something else to hold on to. Whereas McKivitz, it's like they have planted their flag on him being the guy, which is frustrating. I don't think it should be that way, but it's where we're at. I think they are kind of gearing up Burford to maybe eventually take his spot at right tackle. I think that wouldn't happen until post-bye week, so the Buccaneers game would be the case if that, I think, is to happen. But this is a big challenge for him. And not to just harp on him, but, you can, you just can't continue to be the 53rd ranked right tackle or 53rd tackle in football. Keep in mind, there is 32 teams. Each team has 2 tackles. Quick math, that's 64 You're like the 12th worst tackle in football on a team that wants to go to the Super Bowl. That can't happen. Trent's got to be better. He was pretty bad against the Rams. I know we didn't have the offseason. That's your own fault, buddy. Same with Ayuk. I'm not going to... There's no time for patience anymore. All that's over with. All that's done. It is season starts now. Climb your way out of the hole you dug yourself and find a way. I don't care what that way is. If it's Dominic Pooney playing tackle, if it's McKivitz going to the bench and Burford starting, if it's D. Winters or, Tatum Bethune starting as a 7th-round pick, it doesn't matter. You have to win this game. I think Purdy will play phenomenal. I think this is another 300-yard performance of a game from Brock Purdy. I think, Jordan Mason will have 65-plus yards on the ground. I think, George Kittle will have a touchdown. I think a game like this, again, you never want to force them the ball, but with Deebo Samuel back and hopefully back, and George Kittle looks to be back, this is a game where Ayuk should be part of the game plan. Get him a touchdown early. Get these guys comfortable. Yes, take what's there, give or take what the Patriots give you, but you don't have time to go, okay, well, next week. No, you have to win this week. Your playoff hopes literally hinge on maybe this week. If you win, 42% chance. If you lose, 13% chance. And CMC not coming back anytime soon. Like, it's just not happening. I told you before, San Francisco should have been worried about CMC's injury. Now, I know that doctor said that, he'll be back in a month or 2 months, whatever it was. That was like if he had the procedure, so I wouldn't read too much into that. But that is to say that I'm not expecting to see Christian McCaffrey back until post-bye week. Like, you have 7 more weeks without him, most likely. And that's my opinion, not a fact. But you don't have time to just sit around and go, we'll beat the Cardinals. You might not. Your defense has been one of the worst in football. Last week was supposed to be the get-right game. Oh, it's the Rams. San Francisco owns the Rams. And, it should be easy to win this game. And you're just hoping to God that the special teams unit decides to put a body on somebody for once this season on punts and punt coverages. And Kyle Shanahan, when you know there's going to be a fake punt, just call the timeout, man. Make it easier for yourself. But I do think San Francisco wins this game. I think they win it. My predictions have been so off because the team has been playing so poorly, which who would have thought? I think they win this game 24-10. I think San Francisco answers the call. I think it's a slower pace game, especially towards the end of the game. I think Shanahan's like, look, I didn't run the football at the end of the last game to milk the clock. I get that. I'll do it this week. A week too late, mind you, but okay, Kyle, we'll take that. I think San Francisco wins this game 24-10, a 2-touchdown victory. They're back at home. They're 1-0 this year at home at Levi's, so maybe it's a home thing and an away curse so far, but hopefully they get this one on Sunday. And if you want to go to this game on Sunday, if you haven't bought your tickets just yet, you can use our promo code 49ers Access, 49 ERS ACC ESS at SitGeek.com and save yourself $20 off your first purchase. It's a discount. Why not take it? Saving money is the best bargain you can get. I use the Upside app for gas. I'm using SeatGeek and my own promo code to go to sports games. Because why wouldn't you? When it's free discounts, it's free money, and it's there. It feels like a gimme. But you do you. If you also could like, share, and subscribe to the show, give us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X or the Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram. And if you hate searching 13 different websites for all your sporting news regarding your favorite MLB team, NBA team, NFL team. If you're a Patriots fan, you're a Niner fan, skip all the garbage and mumbo jumbo and wasting time looking at ESPN and Sporting News and Fox and that and the other. Go to sportspider.com. They take the latest news, articles, podcasts, YouTube videos just like this and put them all in one place for you. It's the easiest way to find the latest news and updates about your favorite sports teams. And if you love fantasy football, you might as well download the Locker Live Fantasy Football app. You can join our league named 49ers Access. Click that link down below. Download the app. It's a $15 buy-in, but the jackpot is escalating, starting at $450. Tell your friends, tell your family. Click that link down below and let's win some big money this year watching and playing fantasy football. That's all I got for you this week. We're waiting with bated breath this Sunday. Can the San Francisco 49ers finally get back in the win column, get back to 500 and secure their second win, not just on the season, but in front of the home crowd at Levi Stadium? The faithful, I know you'll be out there in full force wearing your red. It's going to be fun. Cannot wait to watch this Niners team play again. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we're talking on a Victory Monday about how great the San Francisco 49ers played on Sunday in a win over the Patriots. But again, that's all I got for you right now. My name is Sterling Bennett. I want to thank all of you in the comments. Lori Matthews, Niners Throwback, Bobo, Niners Trump, Kawachipto, I saw you on there. Sorry I didn't get to your comment. Fluffy Ninja, and all of the rest of you up there. Thank you so much for watching, listening. Hopefully you'll like, share, and subscribe, and leave that review. And until next time, my name is Sterling Bennett, and as always, stay faithful.